So I just wanted to come on and talk about something really quick. Yeah, so my workers are making it sound like I can't control, my mental health workers are trying to look like they're trying to fish for a reason why I can't control or should have my money. That there's a big, debate going on right now where my mental health workers are fishing and trying to find a reason why I shouldn't, have control over my money or my resources. So, my new mental health worker keeps, talking about like going over the budget. And I tell him, I told my new mental health worker I didn't want to go backwards. I didn't want people just taking my money and, trying to control my money and stuff like that, or, trying to have me go backwards to a place I've already been at, when it came to certain things and stuff like that. So I'm trying to not go back to that place of the situation. Um, but I mean, they're trying to get me to be independent and stuff, and then they complain because I go spend my money with a friend, and a friend and I might go out to eat, and a friend and I might go out to eat, and we might go to do something, and I'm trying to be independent with that friend and go do something with that friend instead of the actual mentor. The mentor's been bitchy and complaining to me like why don't I have a lot of money to meet with him and stuff like that, or why don't I have enough a lot of money for when he comes in to work holidays and stuff, because he knows he knows I'm gonna want to go, or etc. According to him, it's like, oh, I know you're gonna want to go. I know you're not gonna want to be by yourself, and you're gonna want to go to the holiday stuff. And why don't you have the money and stuff? What happened to all your money? Why'd you just blow through all your money and all this other shit? Because he wants to put all this emphasis on the holidays and doing stuff and shit. Um, but I mean, both my mentor and my new worker are kind of fishing to kind of go through and fish, kind of, for it almost looks like they're almost fishing to try to take control of my money, or take, have the program or the state try to have a reason to take control of my money. And my money's been in my hands for like almost like 6-7 years or more now. My money's been in my hands for almost 6-7 years or more. And I've been doing really well. I mean, my bills are getting paid, and food is getting put on the table. So, right there, all my bills get paid, and my food gets put on the table. Extra bills is where there's issues, but according to some of my insurances and stuff, some of the bills and stuff should have been covered and stuff. And there's this big debate going on and stuff about some people saying the bills aren't covered and stuff, and they're trying to make me pay and stuff out of pocket for this and that. When it comes to certain things. So people are a little frustrated and stuff when it comes to that. But there are people I feel like they're trying to fish for a reason to possibly take my money, or try to have me sign over my money to have them kind of supervise my money, because some people are making complaints like it's not lasting the whole month. It's not lasting the whole month, and towards the end of the month, it's like you need money. And the only reason I bring up money and stuff like that, because my mentor thinks I'm complaining, but he's a money drainer. When I meet with my mentor, he's a money drainer. I hate to say that to people, but it's like you need money to meet with your mentor out of pocket, because nobody pays for you to do stuff with your mentor. Like with the state of Connecticut and being an adult and stuff, nobody's gonna pay for you to do stuff with your mentor. You got to have actual cash and money flow to actually do that, or try to come up with a plan that's gonna fit within your budget. And he got kind of mad because I had like $4 or $5 left over, and I just said, let's go to Goodwill. But he got mad when I told him I didn't have a certain amount of money that I thought I originally had, and stuff like that. And I think some of that's coming from the case manager too, where the case manager is trying to talk about some things being one way, or trying to go one way. But I think the case manager and I are going to have to really come up with a plan that's going to work. I think nothing about my budgeting is going to really, going to basically, I mean, touching my budget for my spending, touching my budget for, my food shopping is not going to happen. I mean, I pay my bills. I go food shopping. I make sure all my food is in the house. I get what I need. We're living in times where food and stuff is flying off the shelves in the grocery stores, and there will come a time where we won't know if we're going to get certain foods and stuff at the grocery stores or what we need. And I was at the point too where I was shopping for the whole entire month. So I got a lot of stuff all at once to shop for the whole entire month, because that way for the rest of the month I was trying to be more independent. And if I got any extra food money or anything towards going towards food, I would try to be independent and trying to get to the grocery store, etc., to try to use that and stuff like that, you know. Apparently, it's like they want me to be independent, but yet I feel like they're fishing for reasons to maybe, take control of my money or take control of things to send me backwards in a way that's not going to propel me forwards in the way of me being very much so independent. So that's what it feels like, That's what it feels like to me. And I was talking to my mother about that. My mother said that's bullshit. Some of what's being said to her and myself is absolutely bullshit. Um, Granted, I was told certain things about some things, and I was trying to, get other things in order, and I was asking my mom if she could help me get those things in order, and she's still up in the air about it, but she thinks some of it is bullshit because, just my mom doesn't make a lot of money. I don't make a lot of money, and people are hyping on us like, you need to make all the money in the world, or you need to make it last in order to be successful. I got a bill the whole bill that I got wasn't really my fault. It was the fact that I met with the eyeglasses place, but I was told any bill I would have would have been covered. So I don't know why I got another bill from last appointment saying certain things weren't covered again after I just paid them $200-$300 the last time, which I maybe shouldn't have done because it should have maybe been covered within the insurance. So my mental health workers right now are trying to fish for a reason to possibly take my money or discredit me in ways of me not being able to be fully independent enough and etc. to possibly have me sent backwards in a way that's not going to be fulfilling to my life or my needs or what I need to do. Basically, my mentor was pissed about my independence. He was pissed because I go out. I sometimes will go out to eat with my friend Greg, and my friend Greg will stop for a coffee or will stop for a sandwich at Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, money doesn't last. Then in this age, my mom was saying too that certain places online and stuff, and certain places in the store are raising prices because they know it's the holidays and stuff, so they try to charge a little bit more and a little bit extra because they know everybody wants to shop for the holidays and get holiday stuff. The other thing too is he's mad at me too because I bought an adult magazine, and he's like, why do you need an adult magazine? Why don't you spend it on things you need? I got everything I fucking needed, and if I needed something else, I can make it work, in my favor probably. Maybe I'll just have to wait until next month. I mean, it's not like, the end of the world like everybody's fucking claiming because they want to have the control, or they want to make me feel like I don't have the power and control over my life like I'm supposed to have as being a independent adult. A lot of people are yelling at me about money and stuff. Like, I don't have the money for this and that. I don't have the money to afford this and that, but yet I buy this and that. And it's like my money's getting guzzled up at the end of the month. But at some point, the money just becomes spending anyways. Once the bills get paid and once the food's in the house, the money becomes spending. I have a right to have some type of little bit of spending money in the house. Maybe it could be budgeted out a little bit more to help me get through the month on a budget with my spending, but it doesn't always have to be because spending money is spending money, and if you choose to decide to use it the way that you choose to use it, then you shouldn't feel sorry for it because it was spending money and it was money you could use towards those things to enjoy. But there's a big thing where my new mental health worker seems to be fishing for some stuff, and I don't know if it's coming from his supervisor, and I don't know if it's because of his supervisors basically trying to say something about my independence and stuff like that. But the thing is too, I need to get a lawyer. I almost need to get a lawyer and stuff for things that have happened and etc. I almost want to try to let it go, but Um, I almost should get a lawyer for some things that have happened within the programming and stuff that I've had. And some people are like, don't do it because we don't see it working out for you in any which way to really get a lawyer, really try to, fight for your rights and stuff like that. But I might have to if people are going to try to, attack me and try to get, come after me for my money and stuff and try to take control of my money because I was doing fine. I was doing absolutely fine. So what if the spending money doesn't last the whole month? I mean, I think a lot of people have gripes too because occasionally, occasionally I'll ask to borrow from somebody and stuff too. At the end of the month, if there's something I really do need, I'll ask to borrow and pay people back. And I guess some neighbors are complaining about that. Other neighbors are not complaining about that. Some neighbors are complaining about that, and so there's a big gripe and a big deal of a lot of talk going back and forth between some people and some other people and my workers and etc. about how Carl is not being as stable or how Carl's not being able to afford how he's how, all like how he spends all this money on stuff he really can't afford and it's spending money. If I want to spend a little bit extra on something, or if I want to spend, something a little bit more higher in budget, I will. Spending money is spending money. The needs and the bills get met. I don't pay for electric, but I pay my rent, and my rent always gets paid. And I always try to make sure there's food on the table. Yes, and yes, I actually, I got food assistance basically for food, but I also pay like another $200 in food, or towards food to just get what I need in the house to have enough in the house for the month. And some of that mostly is on drinks because I get like a couple things of Gatorade, I get a couple things of diet soda, and I get some seltzers and stuff. So sometimes I just get a little extra drinks and stuff, or I'll get at least a few creamers to have in my fridge because I like my coffee. So I'll have a few creamers in my fridge, or get a couple at least 2 or 3 heads of lettuce so I can make can make a salad I would like to have because I'm trying to eat more salads, and the salads I really eat and have are more they're more cucumber and onion based, or they're more like lettuce based with like chicken. I mean, I'm not a big fan of all kinds of lettuce. I'm not a big fan of tomatoes. There's certain things I just don't eat in a salad, and I'm not a big fan of eating certain things in a salad. So, I really actually don't even really like salad, but I mean, I try to make my own salads and try to make it work for my own benefit because I don't like, I'm not a big fan of I mean, it depends on how they're made. I like Caesar salad. Caesar salads are good, but it all depends on how the salad is made and what kind of salad it is for me to say I actually like the salad. So, and I mean, I usually just make my own the way I like it, and I've been eating my own like my own cucumber and onion salads and stuff, and trying to eat more vegetables and stuff. Um, I think some people are trying to complain too about the food aspect because of my health and stuff, because of my weight and because of my health when it comes to what they feel is my dieting and stuff. But I mean, I told everybody ahead of time that, in the winter time, I'm not going to get out to walk as much because of the cold and my breathing and my reflux and stuff, that I'm not going to be able to get out as much and stuff to really go to point A to point B because I'm not going to be able to, be able to function walking out my door to get the point A to point B if I have to walk. So, so I mean, and obviously the mental health workers can only, meet with you if they have the time. If they don't have the time, you're gonna be stuck. So, I try to have Go Gear, which Go Gear basically is making, medical appointments, medical and doctor's appointments. They're making those the priority. So if they don't have time to take you to the bank during the day, if you call during that day and they say, "Oh, we don't have time to take you to the bank," try again tomorrow. And if you were in a position that your accounts were bouncing or something, you would be screwed because the mental health workers can't take you, and you got to depend on this Go Gear service that sometimes doesn't even have the audacity or the time to really even give you a ride to point A to point B. So my mental health services, it's always like the same shit, different day. Basically, it's basically the same shit, different day. It's all systematic bullshit. It's like you got to be a client in recovery. You got to advocate for yourself, but people don't like me advocating for myself, and this is part of what this video is about me advocating for myself and telling people how I feel because, um, you know, I'm not being heard. I'm not being heard, or something about what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to convey is not being heard at this time, especially when it comes to my finances, my life, and my authority, and the way I need to feel, or the way I need to feel in order to heal and stuff like that. In order to heal and grow and evolve, there's certain things I need to feel and go, like I actually have in my corner, that people are kind of making me feel kind of testy about, like it's going to be taken or kind of fucked up or messed with, you know. So I mean, people right now are kind of screwing with the part of the part that has been my stability, because they just didn't like they're finding reasons, and they're finding reasons and stuff that they want to try to use to give their jobs meaning and stuff, but they're also trying to find reasons to really, go in and kind of like disrupt what I'm doing. So, so they do have that reason for their job and etc. I mean, it's the same old shit, different day. It's a whole new set of workers that really don't know me very well, but yet here we are again with the whole situation of getting to know a whole bunch of different workers and stuff when it comes to mental health and stuff like that, which is usually a pain, because people have to take the time to get to know you before they really know how to work with you, and sometimes it just sets you back. It sets you into problems. It sets you into issues that could have been very well avoided if they just listened to you about where you were trying to go and really headed in the first place, after all the growth and all the lessons you've already learned and all the shit you've been through, that they want to put you through more shit or more problems because they feel like you can't grow and evolve, or they feel like you do want to find a reason why you're not handling your business properly and shit like that, you know. And my mentor is complaining because my mentor knows I need money from my mentor, and then he complains because he tries to come basically for the holidays. Has to get special permission to come in for the holidays, and he can't really pay for anybody out of pocket and anything. We have to have our own money to really attend. So, um, so he was a little mad at me, recently, because I didn't have like $25 or $30 or so to go to the Chinese buffet and on the Friday before Christmas, or Christmas Eve or something like that, the Thursday or Friday before Christmas Eve, and be able to have the money to do that right now. But I am trying to figure something out, Certain people are getting tired of me always coming to them and always asking for shit and stuff like that. So, I mean, I try to do runs for people and they only give me like $2 or $3, but I try to do what I can here and there to just try to make a couple bucks and stuff like that. My mom was very encouraging too. She says, try to offer to do a run for a neighbor or something who can't really get out and do for themselves. Maybe you can earn a couple bucks here and there, and it helps you out in the long run towards what you need. My mom didn't necessarily say to borrow, because everybody, my mom's saying it and a couple other people are saying it. You don't always want to get into the habit of always borrowing from people and always paying people back. And I think that kind of came into my life right before the actual pandemic. I was talking to some neighbors and a group of neighbors and stuff, and I got into the habit of borrowing and stuff, and I ended up getting into the habit of borrowing and stuff, so I got myself into the mindset of being, always having to borrow. But I was in a place, way before that, where I didn't always have to borrow money and stuff. I was doing fine on my own, and I didn't really have to be in that place to get my needs met, like I was trying to do. So, but here I am trying to talk to some people about trying to come up with a way to come up with like $25 or $30 so I could go to the buffet if my worker actually comes, get special permission to come in for the before the holidays or whatever he's gonna do, which I might not know about until last minute again. But it was a conversation we had, and he got really frustrated with me because money probably was just spent. Money was probably just spent probably like a day or two before, or hours before, and he and we both should have thought about maybe getting money from me at the beginning of the month for the holidays, and putting it aside for for the actual dinner or whatever they want to do to get some clients together to do. So But people want me to be independent, and I'm trying to be independent. I mean, my independence is not always counting on my mentor to get me from point A to point B, to go to a store, to go spend money at a store, do something at a store. I mean, if I want to go spend some money my way and treat myself the way I want to treat myself, I have a right to do so, because it's one, it's being very independent to do so, and two, I'm an adult and I have a right and a choice to do so. I mean, I think people want to challenge that right and that choice, because people feel like I can't afford it because there's no money at the end of the month, and they feel like, what if there's something I need, or what if there's this and that, and why, if there's no more money left over, then I'm pretty much fucking screwed. Um, but they don't need to control my money. Nobody needs to really control my money or sit down and be like, "Oh, this is what I want to control your money with," because it's just going to be a setback. And all I'm going to really have to do, I mean, I can't get an Advocacy Unlimited lawyer. I mean, obviously there's this agency called Advocacy Unlimited, and they work out of like Hartford, or they work out of Hartford, or they work out of like Middletown or something. But they are a mental health lawyer. They're a building full of mental health lawyers for people with mental health issues, with like housing issues and stuff like that. I mean, they don't really do legal issues, which is the other reason I might have to get a lawyer, because I was almost in borderline legal issues because of clients from my mental health program and stuff like that. So it almost has to be where I almost might have to get myself an actual legal actual like attorney and lawyer that's not necessarily based off of mental health for everything that's been transpiring. The only thing is my mom and I were talking the other day, and I guess my mom was saying that her friend said she had to pay an attorney like over $7,000, not once but twice, just so that my mom's friend could have an attorney fight for her case. And my mom was like, $7,000 for an attorney, that's insane. That's insane right now to have to pay $7,000 for an attorney. I mean, and of course, my mental health workers know know a little bit about my financial conditions and stuff, and they know in some cases I'm not able to really afford an attorney if it's like $7,000 out of pocket. And that's kind of why some of them are kind of saying, if you don't have proof, we can get away with this, and all the other sly bastardly shit that they do, that they want to try to kind of antagonize me a little bit, or try to poke at me a little bit, because they can get away with shit and stuff like that. I had a video before too about like the other clients going to like social events and stuff, and about social events that I would do and stuff. And some people were saying, because if it's at a public place and stuff, and it's at a public place and stuff, and if it's public knowledge and people find out about it, then yes, they can talk about it, and yes, they can mention it to clients, to have clients show up and actually do it or be a part. There's a lot of problems I have with that though, because there's been a lot of clients in the past that haven't really known how to really act when it came to being at local venues and stuff, especially around me when I would bring them and stuff. That really kind of dragged me down in my opportunities, and I talked about it all in another video, but it basically is the factor that, even the state's not holding a confidentiality in a way when it comes to the events and stuff that I do, and the events and things that I do. People, some of that is supposed to be my knowledge and my knowledge only, but yet they'll try to, say that I was told off the record, they can actually say that to a client about the event if they don't even mention my name or that I'm going. They could still mention it to a client, and etc. And then they could show up, and they're not responsible for how the client acts or responds in a social situation. So if the client really wants to act a fool, or be an asshole or an issue, then it's going to happen. Which I don't really want to go backwards or have people interfere or fuck with shit like people are trying to do, or people have tried to do in the past. Um, I don't know what to believe. I mean, people are trying to be reasonable and fair to everybody's rights and stuff, but I mean, at the same time, some of my rights and stuff, I feel like I'm being toyed with and kind of poked at, because, they do kind of want me to get the attorney, or they're gonna sit there and continue to provoke and instigate, and try to find reasons why my programming is not is not up to par and stuff, so they can send me backwards or find a reason for their jobs and the situation to have the control over my life, because they don't like what I'm doing with my controller. They don't like, where I'm going with like the control over my finances and stuff like that, and how it's actually, how it was supposed to play out. I mean, some of their input and stuff when it came to Taquana, and some of their input and stuff when it came to the bookstore. I don't know if it was really fully really helpful and stuff, but I'm sure there's a lot of stuff still being said after hours and being said between a lot of other people and stuff. But I mean, the state of Connecticut also has said some stuff to me about stepping away from the bookstore if I didn't like how they did business and stuff, which I did, but I was still getting involved with Taquanas, and so now some people are saying, because of what I have said about Taquana and the whole thing, the situation about Taquana, a lot of people are saying that the way I expressed the whole situation about Taquanas. I mean, it sounds like she basically used me. It sounds like she found an open opportunity to basically use me for what she needed, because I had offered my time and my effort to help her out and offer a hand, and she offered to kind of pay me underneath the table and try to, because I was going to offer, volunteer my time to help her out around the store. Where then, and then the day that I actually took the job and stuff, she started acting like I was taking a full blown job, and wasn't hearing me out that I was only volunteering my time and I couldn't take a full blown job because of my income and etc. But so that blew up out of proportion, and so I ask people all the time, do you think I was reckless in the situation? Do you think I did anything reckless? And I don't know if I was totally reckless in the situation. She might have been a little reckless. She might have been a little, manipulative and etc. And, leading me on to get what she wants. But according to what my workers would say, about, other things that I've told them. But, me personally, I also wonder what's going on with the hand of my mental health workers, who obviously are not going to say anything to the other artists and etc. because they're trying to maybe put their own sense in their own sense and their own pawnship into how I move, or where I end up going with my life and etc. after things were working so well in the arts for a while up until certain points. But now it's like, the mental health people want to might want to try to, tell me something so I can go a different way with stuff to try to, manipulate the situation into being something completely different than what it is. So, I mean, I really need to get a lawyer, and some people know I need to get a lawyer for different reasons, and for different reasons of the fact I just can't afford one. You know, which is kind of our, kind of the conversation, is everybody's griping about me about money, because everybody knows I like money and I like doing stuff, but there's not enough money to go around, and that's just the way it is. I mean, I didn't expect to get a job. I didn't expect to get a job or try to be offered the job when I actually started try to work for Taquana. I mean, I walked off the job within a day to when I started working for Taquana, because it was very clear that she started to try to use me. She started trying to use me and stuff, and she started trying to manipulate, me working for her and stuff. So it was very clear to me and stuff, and and part of me knew that, and part of me knew that I just couldn't go back on the job because she was trying to really manipulate the situation and use me for her benefit and stuff, and I just couldn't let my heart be in that position. I mean, I really liked her. I really liked the business. I really liked the food, but at the overall end, I don't like how things turned, or how she chose to handle things, or how she just ended up, dealing with things. I mean, she probably has a lot going on in her personal life. I mean, I've seen some of the things in her personal life. I posted about them. I mean, everyone's seen the post about her with the blue sheer outfit. Everyone. I don't know if some people have seen the rap video with, basically the camera zooming in on her ass, and the other videos where she's twerking. I don't know if that's appropriate behavior necessarily for a business owner in Torrington, but it's not my call. It's some people who actually kind of control the businesses in Torrington. So, but regardless, I walked off the job within the first day, and I think everybody's trying to figure out why I did so, or what's going on, if I'm okay, and etc. But I guess when it came to the bookstore and it came to Taquana basically tried to, manipulate and use me in a way to get her benefit, and, um, John, I just felt was bad business. John, I just felt was bad business. I had some issues with John Noki of the Noki Gallery of the or Howard's bookstore, and I had some issues of supporting him, and I even tried to donate a couple of bags of books to him, and I didn't really like how he accepted the donation and how only took what was going to be worth value to him or only what was going to be able to sell and stuff like that, and then told me to take the rest home. I thought that was very crummy of me trying to make a donation and trying to be very kind and polite about stuff. So I got to the point where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not even going to bother. So. But people are wondering if I'm being reckless and stuff like that. But the whole point I was making too is I didn't expect to get that job. I think Taquana really started to like me at first, and she really did start to like me. And my mom tried to kind of push me in that direction too to help her out for like a job or under the table job that I couldn't keep or maintain. But I tried to take a job for Taquana, Taquana Soul Food and Sweets here in Torrington, Connecticut, and I just it just didn't work out. It was very, very, very unfortunate, and some people say I took it very hard. I was very much so my being was very much attached to that situation, and still kind of very kind of some ways kind of is still attached to that situation because I didn't want it to overall affect me in the arts. I didn't want it to affect my overall position within the arts or in the artist community or being supported by other artists here in Torrington, Connecticut and stuff. But it has kind of really put a damper and divides between me and some of the other artists and etc. So I've been having a lot of problems and fallouts and basically from people who probably are not even really friends and they just care about their own lives and careers and they don't really care about shit and are gonna do what they're gonna do. I try to write. I try to write a message to one of my friends. One of the people I thought were my friends on the Arts Council. Because a friend of mine, or somebody I was supporting for a while since like 2016. Since they had like a smoothie shop that was also like an art display shop and stuff. I was supporting them and stuff, and I thought they were going to be really supportive of me. I mean, they've even bought artwork for me and etc. But when it came to me writing them about that certain issue or something like that, they didn't get back to me or say a single word to me when it came to the situation about John or Taquana's or all the tensions that are going on. I think some people are thinking I'm having a mental health crisis, but I'm really not. I'm trying to find stability in my life. I'm trying to get my life in order and trying to do my own thing. Trying to do my own thing and get my life in order and find my stability. And some people might be feeling like I'm not being responsible or I'm being kind of really irresponsible and stuff. But I'm not really trying to be really irresponsible. I have my own agendas and my own plans. It's just that I don't tell everybody my own agendas and plans. It's because the state has already told me they can't be trusted. They told me openly if I do an event or something and I don't want people coming to it or I don't want people showing up that I feel shouldn't be there and stuff because I want to protect my peace and I want to protect my artistry and stuff and my time and my efforts, then if I tell them something, they're going to say, oh well, we have a right to tell other clients and stuff that this is going on and etc. So it turns out to be an issue and it turns out to be a problem. So and it's kind of at the point now where in some cases I can't say everything to the state of Connecticut, and I guess the state of Connecticut's starting to wonder what's up with me or if I can be trusted, or if I'm being all right, if I'm not being irresponsible with my finances and shit. But basically it's the state. Nobody wants the state of Connecticut looming over their shoulder, whether it's mental health services, state of Connecticut, whether it's like, Social Security, or etc. I am on Social Security. I am, disabled, I'm a disabled artist. I'm an artist on a disability. So, and I am still an artist. I'm still a writer, but, obviously that might affect my finances even more if I get more popular and stuff, if I actually start making money, because I'm not making any money right now on barely anything I do or make, but if I do start making money on some of my products and stuff, it depends on how much money I make, but if I make a certain amount of money, I still gotta report it or, take it as an income to, the higher ups of Social Security and blah, 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 because of, the situation. But um, I just wanted to get that off my chest, though. That the state is really trying to do some stuff, and I'm agreeing to work with them in a way. I'm agreeing to work with them to try to find something that we can work on for the next goal for what they call the treatment plan, which is usually a plan that they make that will help me, which will come up with these goals and things that will help me in my recovery, or they feel will help me in my recovery, in the growth of my recovery to work on and stuff like that. So I don't know. Once again, I almost find myself wanting to change that, change budgeting my spending, because obviously that didn't work right now either, because my spending pretty much went out the door. But they expect me to be independent, but yet they also expect me to do things with them, and they don't know. They'll realize too. Sometimes they're also money guzzlers, because anything I do with them or anything I do independently, that's still money, money, money. It's like eventually money is going to run out, because we're not living in a time, especially if you're not fully working because of a disability and stuff. You're gonna run out of money, because of the situation that you're faced with. So I'm at that point now where it's just like, I mean, I don't want to feel sorry for having to live my life. I mean, the bills get paid and there's food on the table. I mean, there's extra bills sometimes I can't always pay, or I'm gonna have to find a way to pay. But I mean, it's not like unreasonably. It's not unreasonably not able to be done to be paid or fixed. But it's just going to take some time and some effort. I mean, obviously I had a bill from all the way from January, or the beginning of the year, apparently, because something wasn't covered, and they took the time to send me it all the way in November. All the way in November, the beginning of December, they said they took the time to send me a bill for my eyeglasses, right? If that was supposed to be like done in the beginning of January of last year, or this past year, that they're saying, oh, things weren't covered, and it's like we need money from you now, and you had the whole freaking year to tell me that there was a bill and stuff that needed to be paid. So I don't know. But that's just my thoughts. And my mom was talking too, because, I got an ultimatum about, counseling. I was told I can work with a female counselor that the state of Connecticut has for my services there, or otherwise I can there's a male counselor I could get, but the male counselor I could get might be at the hospital or something. And they said if I get the male counselor at the hospital, I would have to basically, get a whole new case manager. I would have to get a whole new psychiatrist. I would have to get a whole new freaking team, up at the hospital and stuff and start over there, just because I want to get, a proper therapy session and shit. I mean, I said I would work with the female therapist, although I have some questions of what that's really truly going to work in my favor, but um, I mean, I said I would work with her because I do want to keep all my services under one roof, and I do at times do like working with this agency when they're not trying to be pricks, or they're not trying to get away with shit that's against my rights, or trying to manipulate shit to their favor and shit for the jobs. But I do kind of like the agency that I do work with. I mean, I do like the agency. So at times do like the people I do work with, but sometimes they're pricks. Sometimes they'll say I'm a prick. Sometimes they'll say other people they work with are pricks, but sometimes they're pricks. Sometimes they're fucking pricks, and so they have their issues and they have their moments where you just don't want to fucking deal with them. So, and I mean, I like them. I mean, I like the services I get, but other times and other days I really don't. So it all depends. When people say too, I got all these books in my house. I got all these books in my house. I barely, somebody threw it in my face too, like, oh, you barely read the books you get. You barely read the books you get. You barely do this. You barely do that. It's like, I mean, how do they know I barely read the books that I get? Are they sitting with me in my apartment when I read my books? Do they know that I don't finish my books? Do they know that I don't get rid of too many of my books because I want to keep some of my books. I mean, some of the books I'm investing in are kind of considered banned books, or books on anti-racism, or I have a couple political books. I got rid of some of my political books, but I do have a giant poetry collection. I have a couple of shelves of poetry just in general. I like poetry that much that I have at least a couple shelves of poetry in here. Whatever I don't usually have is usually put on my wish list. But I mean, I do have a lot of poetry already in here. So, but people are saying, "Oh, you already have everything. You got tons of tarot cards. You got tons of, you got tons of poetry books. Why do you need more? Why do you need more poetry books or tarot cards?" But in a way, it's still an investment. It's still an investment towards myself, basically. It's still an investment towards myself and me being able to be a writer and a poet to, still get books by other poets and writers to basically, read and appreciate, especially as a writer and somebody who is writing and, getting their poems published in books and stuff and all kinds of other stuff, that I've been doing that I try to keep people out of and don't always say to other people. But I don't think people realize too that I'm kind of internationally and nationally and internationally famous because of my contributions to the National Beat Poetry Festival or the National Beat Poetry Foundation, which I love being a part of and I enjoy being a part of and etc. I mean, there's also Local Gems Press, which still works with me, and I mean, I've had a couple of books published through Hartford's Lit, but Hartford's Lit and I don't really work with each other because the whole reason I won't work with Advocacy Unlimited, which is also kind of like they do a lot of things about advocating for your rights as a client and legal matters with like legal lawyers for mental health and stuff like that, and they do stuff like advocating and stuff that they started hiring some people from Hartford and stuff, and some of those people were kind of the publishers or kind of people that knew the publishers and stuff. So there was a bit of a conflict of interest. I kind of already knew that there was going to be something said to me about, client privacy or something or some type of bullshit like that because I knew a lot of these writers and people off the record personally, and the thing I also realized too, if they get a job for Advocacy Unlimited or working through people with working through different things through Advocacy Unlimited, then they might meet other clients, they might meet other people that I've had issues with and stuff like that. And then here we go again with a social issue. Like there's been social issues in the past where we can't have mutual friends, or we can't have mutual friends. We can't have people, friends or people that we know, personally or want to get to know personally because there's a conflict of interest because one person has an issue with it and the other person has to fight just fight for their rights and all kinds of other shit because shit all kinds of fucked up shit is happening. Kind of what happened to Thomasita. I won't lie about that. It's not never necessarily written in her poem, but that's kind of what happened to Thomasita because Thomasita kind of got really kind of fucked over, I think, and I don't really fully know what happened to Thomasita. I saw her a couple times, but I don't know in the end what really happened to Thomasita. Thomasita kind of just disappeared, and that was it, because I think one of the people she worked with was got a client in Goodwill and her was a client for Goodwill and got a job working at Goodwill, and I would sometimes go up there to just look with my mentor would have me go look at Goodwill, and I would sometimes see her and talk, but some shit had happened or somebody was crossed or somebody had some type of issue, so something was said or done, and next thing you know there's some type of issue and bullshit, and Thomasita disappears. So I guess that poem about her too was my own way of kind of expressing that, because some of it was borderlining on what people thought were me trying to be too pro-black because people would say, oh, why don't you support your own background or your own heritage, and because some people didn't like me being for Black Lives Matter and etc. because I was supposedly a white person, which I guess even the black community now says it's culturally inappropriate, or the way, whatever way they feel like I am about is still kind of culturally inappropriate. So, I just celebrate my Italian heritage. I celebrate my Italian heritage. I celebrate my Russian heritage. Some type of Latin. I know there's some type of Latin in my last name too. I think some people are saying maybe from South America, but there's some type of Latin in my last name. We don't know which origin it is. Some people say it might be Portuguese, but Like I'm actually a Latin Italian. If you actually look at my actual last name, it actually is Latin and Italian. So, um, I mean, I'm still pretty much white. You know, you can't judge me for the color of my skin because I'm still pretty much white. But I mean, or maybe you can. I mean, but people be like, people be like, oh, you're this and that. Whatever the fuck they want to say. I don't even want to get into it. But um, regardless at this point, there was a lot of issues and things back and forth, a lot of things that had to be worked out, and took me about 7 years of therapy to really work out, because I had a fight to get a male counselor that I worked with, probably for like 10 years before. I actually got to get that same male counselor to work with again, because that was the only male counselor, or one of the only male counselors they had, and it was a good male counselor to work with. So, and he knew me pretty well, so he knew how to work with me. He knew how to really level with me when it came to like my programming and stuff and different things. And but he was the one too that said, if you don't have any proof on anything, we can get away with shit. So, I mean, it was the first time he started acting like that too. But I think he was starting to act like that because he didn't really care at one point, because he was going to up and retire, which he did. He up and retired, so he didn't really he started showing his true colors, like he didn't really care about me, or the situation when it came to like my counseling session, to try to work with me in some cases, because he wanted to be a realist. He wanted to put in everybody's rights. He wanted to put in he wanted me to look at other people's rights and my rights, and how it affects the overall picture. But I'm kind of more for myself. I'm not really for other people in my programming, because it's not really about them. Where I'm going and what I'm trying to do is not really about them. It's about myself. It's about myself and what I want to do. But I'm really not even supposed to really. I mean, I guess I can talk about it. I mean, I'm not talking about anything too confidential right now, but I mean, I've been thinking to myself too about like HIPAA laws, because that's what people say, is that nobody can say who's going to an event. Nobody can say who's going to an event, but they can say an event is happening, because they can't say what people are doing, or what's going on with a certain person, even if there's issues that have conflicted between you and another person. They can't say anything about the other person because of HIPAA laws. HIPAA is pretty much protecting the clients, regardless whether there's a confliction between you and another client, or whether it's you kind of needing protection of your own mental health and your own programming. But it's like, sometimes the HIPAA laws or the confidentiality laws for other clients really get on my nerves, because sometimes I feel like if I did know the truth, or if I could get more, indication of the truth with other people and what had happened and the situation, maybe I would be more pissed off about it. Maybe I would be like through the roof, or maybe I would actually be able to accept it and be able to finally get more healing out of the matter and just move on. But there's things about the other clients and some of the other people who were involved in some of the stuff in the past, that some of those people are moving on, and some of those people are gonna at least try to move on and stuff, and people don't think I know about it and stuff. But some people are gonna eventually try to move on and try to leave and get a new life. And sometimes I wonder if the same thing. Sometimes I wonder if I need to go to a whole nother area like Naugatuck, Waterbury, or a whole nother area and start over, where I'm not like in Torrington, because Torrington, I've had a lot of missed opportunities. I mean, there's things still working for me a little bit, and I know the areas where there still might be hope for me to work on certain things, and etc. But um, other areas, it's like I don't really know which direction I should go in, or how I should handle it, and it's like making me scramble and making me at a loss and making me very confused how to really go about things at this point. So. Um, and I just wanted to get that off my chest. I gotta go turn the heat down, so I'm gonna get offline. But I just wanted to chill. You know, I just wanted to chill. But you know, yeah, I'm not much to say. I mean, I said what I said, and I hope people understand where I'm coming from. But my workers are gonna be my workers, and they might try to do something fucked up and shady, before the time ends. Like try to take control of my money or have me sign over my bank accounts and all kinds of other bullshit about stuff. So you never know. So